Hello. So God just gave me a download, and the download is, what are the effects of not having love? Like someone who doesn't have any love, like how does it affect the person? Not having love, how does it affect the person? And there's a few things that come to mind. The first one is like sadness and depression. Just because, love is comforting, and anything that lacks that comfort will end up getting like sad. No matter what could be replacing the void. No, not replacing the void, but what could be filling the void is not as powerful as love. So there's times when people will miss love. They'll miss out on it. They'll not have it for whatever reason. I'll get into that later and talk about different aspects of this topic. But when love is not present in the lives of individuals, it affects them in various ways. So many people will introduce something else into their lives to fill the void where love is meant to be. And it could fulfill them temporarily, but not long term. That type of filling of the void is very temporary, and it's not really effective. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a wound, but not nursing it, not cleaning it, not like making sure that it won't get infected. It's not gonna do that. It's just gonna put a Band-Aid over it, and that's it. But that's not really gonna do anything. So love could be filled with, or the void where love is meant to be can be filled with many things that can give someone comfort. It could be sex. It's the first thing I think about. Food. It could be overspending, like shopping, because people like shopping. It makes them happy. What else makes a person happy? Anything that makes someone feel good. Smoking or drinking. Those are the first things that come to mind when a person is trying to fill the void where love is supposed to be, and they fill it with something else that's not something that's foreign, something that's not actually going to be beneficial to them. And over time, it puts a strain on their heart. Now I'm hearing the heart turns cold. So they're less likely to care, and they're more likely to go off and to have like outbursts, like to be angry or frustrated, like really quickly. They could be short-tempered, okay, from the lack of love. Because when you don't have love, it's like missing a foundation. Love doesn't always just have to come from someone else, but if you at least find love for yourself, at minimum, not really at least, I don't want to say at least, but at minimum, if you I'm about to say it again, at minimum, if you find, or when you find love for yourself and love with that connection to that source energy, the eternal, that's very fulfilling. And I personally believe that that's where your love should begin. Because once you know how to love yourself and build a connection with the spirit realm, you understand love at that point. You understand it from an eternal level, not just from a perspective that may be viewed as love, but it's really not. Because I think many people confuse what love is. Anyway, I just feel that way. just off the strength of how society is looking right now. So once you love yourself and you have a connection with source energy, you have a connection with God, right? Then you know how to behave when you're in love with an actual person, especially a romantic partner. You understand so many aspects of life to where you will not, there will be little room for error. People make mistakes, but there's going to just be certain things that you're just not going to do off the strength of you having a godly foundation. When you have that, there's a lot of things that you're just not going to do because you know it's not right and you know it's going to affect you in a negative way. So you don't indulge or you don't take part in certain things and you don't behave a certain way because you know that it's like, I heard inflicting a defamation of character on self. So you defame yourself when you walk out of divine alignment. You end up acting like someone who you're not. You end up turning on the ways of your lineage. You end up turning on the ways of your people. And the ways of your people are healing. So it's like poisoning yourself. It's a challenge to try to find love if you don't see it either. That's another thing. If you don't see the love on the outside, just as an example, because I think examples help us. As people, when we have examples, that's helpful to us because we could actually see it. You know, it's clear to us what we're looking at, you know, and it just makes sense when we can see. But if we don't see it, it makes it more difficult to connect. You have to have a true desire to want to connect to yourself and connect to that cosmic order, as well as that cosmic flow that's basically just channeled to you when you're open to it and when you believe it and when you're ready for it. Okay, so whatever I mentioned the void where love is meant to be being filled with things that one may abuse, looking for happiness from external forces, and then how it turns the heart cold. You could become angry and frustrated, short-tempered. Without love, when you get into relationships, it's more likely that they go south because you don't really understand. If you don't know love for self, you won't really know love for another. It would be hard for you to translate what you don't have the original copy of. Did I say that right? Hold on. Translate is a different language. To translate, it means it's different. It's a different form. Translate. You can't translate what you don't have. So if somebody doesn't have love, how can they show it? If you don't know love, at least, or at minimum, with yourself and with spirit, how could you translate it? You translate your love to your person. It would be difficult because you don't know it. You have to know it first, right? You have to know it. So this goes to show how many people are walking around loveless because of how they behave themselves and how they treat their people, how they treat who they're with, like, you know, relationship wise, when they're in a romantic relationship. You could tell that many people don't have love because of how they treat others. When people are not loyal, when people are in relationships and They have a hard time staying faithful. Disrespect. When a person disrespects their partners when they're in a relationship, those are just people that don't know love. So be careful of ending up in a relationship with an individual that doesn't know love and doesn't want to know love. Or doesn't even... Because there are some people that still move from a place of love, right? But they didn't necessarily have love around them. But it's within them, and they follow the guide of their own soul. Like they hear their souls cry, and they want to move from that space. So that's only a select few, though. Not everyone is like that. Some people have that, and that's very special when you come across someone like that, because that means that they're like innately tapped in to their soul, to being able to communicate with their own soul and translate the love that the soul carries, and they'll be able to translate that. But not everyone can do that. Some people have like a blockage when it comes to their soul's cry. They may feel a little something, but they'll ignore it so that they can bypass it and do whatever it is that their flesh wants them to do. Okay. Love. How is a person affected when they don't have any love? It's a little more difficult for someone who doesn't know love to obtain strong relationships, especially romantically. They could keep some relationships on like a friendship level more than a romantic level, because once you get in between the sheets with someone, it doesn't necessarily mean you love them. Well, for some people, for many people actually, it's just a thing. For some people, it's nothing that serious. But it is a serious thing, but people just don't take it serious. Okay. And what else was here? You want me to say something? It's like people could easily get confused. Like the person that's with the one that's loveless can easily get confused and think after the in between the sheets activity, after the sex, they'll think, oh, like this is it. But nothing was ever said. And then that causes heartbreak. Okay? So now you have somebody that's walking around being a heartbreaker. So not only is their heart broken and like faulty, but they're also translating heartbreak instead of love. They're translating their heartbreak into those who they choose through the sexual companionships. Sometimes they'll lay down with someone who also has a broken heart, and then that person's not going to be affected so much because their heart is already broken and they're in the same broken mindset as the other person. But if it's someone who has wholeness and they actually have love for the person that doesn't, that's going to cause them many problems. Because the person who had a whole heart, their heart is now broken, and they have to pick up the pieces. They have to go through the whole dark night of the soul. That could cause a dark night of the soul right there, that heartbreak. That's a dark night of the soul moment. That's someone who ends up being a catalyst for the one whose heart was in a better state prior to getting in a deeper relationship with them. Even if it wasn't necessarily intimate, because intimate is more so to me a mind thing. It's a mind connection. It's not just, it's not just sex. I mean, if you put it together, but anytime I think about intimacy, I think about a connection through the mental. Okay. What else? So a person that doesn't know love is highly likely to end up being a heartbreaker. Yeah. And that's not good for the world. That is not good for the world. That's bad. Many people with broken hearts, they get stagnant. They can't function properly. And this causes the frequency of the world to lessen, to be lower. Too many broken hearts. Too many broken hearts. And that's another reason why it's so hard to get everyone on the same accord mentally, because the heart is, I almost said ruptured, but I don't want to say that. It's like the heart is injured. And you know how they say you got heart, like you have heart, like you're strong. You have heart, you have like courage. When I hear you have heart, I hear you're strong and you have courage. So if someone's heart is injured, that beautiful aspect of themselves, their courageous, bold nature, will be crippled. And so they won't speak up when it's time for them to speak, They won't be able to listen when they should, because there will be times when people come through trying to help them and they can't even catch it. They can't hear it. They reject it before they catch the frequency of the message. They will reject it before the words are even spoken. What else? So someone, or many people who don't have love or don't know love, they'll begin to just transfer that energy to a bunch of different people like a virus. It's like a virus that's transferred through the psyche. Almost said through the psychic connection. But it's just more so through like just being around someone like that. It could affect you over time. And for those of you who were in relationships that were troubling to you and where someone broke your heart, just think about how you felt around the person. They were draining you of your good energy. Because theirs is bad. It was no good for you. Did you see how hard it was for you to do the regular normal things that you do? You could have still been functioning, but it doesn't mean that it was easy for you to just go ahead and go on with life as if your heart wasn't broke. I think many of us had a good heartbreak before. We know what that feels like. And it makes it hard for you to be able to function, move around, do what you do. Because you're too focused on your emotions. And the emotions are they fluctuate so much that it's hard for you to focus. You have to like force yourself to focus. You have to force yourself to do what you have to do. And do what is most important in your life. Because if you don't, things will crumble, things will fall. So it's even worse when you have people that depend on you, because now you really have to, you don't have to, because some people just lose it and it's the whole house falls at that point. But for those who have a stronger mind, they push through it regardless of the pain, and they shake it off. But when they're alone, they cry because they have to get those emotions out some way. They have to unpack all of that because it's too much weight. Is there anything else? Children that are born under certain circumstances also suffer. Their heart begins to break because they see that their parents don't really connect well, or maybe one of the parents, they're just not around at all, right? Maybe one of the parents, or maybe both of them, I don't know. It depends. Just not around at all. So they don't have any guidance. They don't have anybody to tell them no. They don't have anybody to tell them yay or nay. And they just wild, no structure. And they just outside with bad influence and confusion. So they're going to get into things that they shouldn't because they just trying to be with some people because their people are not around and available or in tune with them to communicate with them, to grow them, raise them, teach them. So they kind of like are being taught by society and by friends and by whatever else they're exposed to. So I think I'm going to keep it here. Do you see how what the effects are of not having love in your life? And love starts with you. So work on the love that you have for yourself. When you work on the love that you have for yourself, you accept yourself, like I spoke about in one of them other readings. You will love yourself no matter what somebody tell you about you. Because you'll just know who you are, and you'll appreciate yourself so much, and you see yourself in a way where it's like you big yourself up, you pat yourself on the back, and you tell yourself, look what I was doing before and what I'm doing now, and there's a change. Like, see yourself for who you are and respect yourself for it. Just like, when you think about somebody that you respect, that's not yourself. You see how you feel towards that person that you respect? When you respect yourself like that, other people have no choice but to respect you in the same way. And if they don't, you know that they're not your people. And then they just get cut off. Right? Right. So, love yourself. Understand yourself so you know what it is that you want. Because once you know what you want, you're not just going to accept anyone and anything and anybody. Because you can't be with anybody once you know yourself like that. Because the majority of society, they don't know themselves. So you can't end up with somebody that doesn't know themselves. It's not going to work. It's like you walking into a burning building and the door closes behind you. And then you're going to have to find a way out. You have to call 911 for help. You got to get the firemen to get on the ladder and come get you out the window. Because a lot of times, once you get in those types of relationships, you feel stuck. And forget about it if somebody get pregnant and there's a baby involved. It just gets real sticky and real confusing. So, the moral of this story is the effects of love really affect society. The effects of no love affect society. As well as the effects of love affect society. But in this case, it's no love because that's what the message is about. Like how not having love affects people. Not having love really affects everything. It affects relationships. It affects the economy. It affects education. Being able to retain information. Being able to remember. Because When that heart is broke, you can't think about nothing else but that broke. All you can think about is that broke. That's it. You can't think about nothing else. Because it's taking up too much space in your life. Do what you love. Do what makes you feel good. Focus on loving yourself, learning to love yourself if you feel like you don't. But I hope many of you do. I hope you don't feel like you don't have any love. But if you do, it's time to work on it because it starts with you. When you love yourself, other people will see the love you have and they're going to love you too. It's just like, it's how it goes. It's that attraction. Loving yourself is attractive. Okay? So, tell me what you think about this message. Anything you want. Anything you like. Tell me. And then I'll tell you. Whatever. I'll respond to you. I think that's it for this message. If you would like to book a coaching call or a reading with me or purchase any of my books, you can. Just go to www.MNHONEYROSE.org to do so. Alright? Alright. I'll see you in the next message.